Good morning. This is the YouTube channel of the Study and Institute for IAS. My name is Aman Jha, and today we are going to take a class for Economic Survey 2020-2021. We will be covering both Volume 1 and Volume 2 chapter wise. First, we will focus on Volume 1 and we will mainly focus on areas that are relevant to civil service examinations. So, let's start. See, Economic Survey, as you know, mostly comes in Volume 1 and Volume 2. There are two volumes. Though some years ago they had compiled both of them and created one volume, but they have reverted back to the tradition. Simple thing, who releases Economic Survey? Chief Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs. There has already been a question in prelims examination on who prepares the budget or which department prepares the budget. So, I would not be surprised if a similar question is asked about the Economic Survey. And remember, there are two sorts of economic advisors. There is one in Ministry of Commerce as well. So, let's move ahead. See, the first thing is, what is the relevance of Economic Survey? If you buy a printout from the market, be original or photocopy, you will see that it has a lot of factual data, a lot of graph data, and most of the students are from non-economic background in this examination. So sometimes they get confused that how should we use this, how should we utilize this, is there any relevant? I mean, there is not a very large precedence of asking direct questions from Economic Survey, but as you know that the nature of examination is always shifting and changing. So we can always expect questions in prelims, questions in mains, and questions in personality test as well. A simple example is this. In prelims exam, they can ask, what do you mean by bilateral netting? This term was used in last year's Economic Survey. Similarly, nudge theory. What is the nudge theory? What is the relevance of nudge theory in socio-economic development programs? Then twin balance sheet challenge. They will ask you that which two sectors of economy are involved in the twin balance sheet problem, or what is a twin balance sheet problem. Such questions can be asked in prelims examination. In last year's prelims examination, there was this question on interest coverage ratio. Similarly, so the idea is that a term based question in economy is not unprecedented. They can ask such questions. For mains, I have given this question. India's sovereign credit rating does not reflect its underlying strength. Discuss. As we go along, we will see in some chapters that Government of India has this time posed a direct question to the international sovereign rating agencies about their persistent bias against India and other developing countries. So we will see that in chapter. The second is the idea of inclusive growth is less relevant compared to the importance of economic growth. Do you agree? This year, due to the unique circumstances created by the COVID-19, government has decided to unabashedly focus on economic growth. And there is one chapter that talks about prioritizing growth over focusing on inequality. We will see that in that chapter also. So the idea is a question can be easily framed. See, the thing is, they would not ask a hardcore data-based question in mains. It's very unlikely. If the question comes, it might come on it might be a sector-specific question, say about agriculture, agricultural reforms, or reforms in IT sector, or reforms in FDI. There you can use the ideas from survey, or there could be such philosophical questions. I mean, this year's paper 3 started with a rather philosophical question in economy that talked about the intragenerational and intergenerational challenges of growth. So such questions can be asked in mains. In personality test, now personality test is very opinion based examination, right? You can see in that what is the so-called Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. Suppose a panelist asks you this question, and do you see any significant impact of this campaign on economic policy making? As we go in this chapter, in the chapters of volume 1 as well as in volume 2, you will see many steps taken primarily on account of the impact of COVID-19 that correspond to this campaign. And do you think India has indeed made a V-shaped recovery? So then we will have to, because the term V-shaped recovery has become very popular. We will see later on what is a V-shaped recovery, what are the other shapes of recovery, which is desirable, which is undesirable. So such questions can be asked in personality test as well. So let's start with volume 1. See, volume 1 focuses on economic analysis to guide policy making. It is rather, you can say, it is a sort of economic philosophy. Of course, this economic philosophy is backed by hardcore analysis and data. They are not simply saying things for the sake of it. Each and every argument is analyzed and substantiated. For example, some years back, they came up with the idea of universal basic income. In that year's survey, the chapter went into detail in discussing what sort of universal basic income we can have as a developing country, what would it cost, what other changes we will have to bring in India's welfare system to make it sustainable. Then the idea of sun meta preference. It is a very, see, economic survey primarily appears to be an economic document, but it talked about a very unique social challenge which is unique to Indian society and its preference for sun, and it goes into detail and calculates how many unwanted girl child were born in that due to this sun meta preference. Same, we talked about nudge theory, which could be asked as a preliminary examination. Similarly, in mains also you can ask this. Then this Thalinomics, last year this idea appeared. So the economic analysis part is more important in volume 1. A 15-marker question can be easily framed. For example, UBI's pros and cons. You can ask, what are the pros and cons of UBI in India? Do you think it is feasible? Do you think what other changes government will have to make in India's welfare net system? Such things. And volume 2 mostly talks about recent developments in various sectors of economy of human development. For example, agriculture. What is the situation in foreign trade? What is the situation on inflation? What is the situation on the climate change front and India's mitigation and adaptation efforts? Industries, services, employment generations and such things. Recent developments in various economic sectors. So, chapter 1. The name of chapter 1 is Saving Lives and Livelihoods Amidst a Once-in-a-Century Crisis. Look, this year's budget as well as survey, they have been presented with the backdrop of Corona and its impact. And everywhere you will see the imprint of coronavirus. For example, the very first chapter, it is sort of an explanation of what government did, what was the rationale behind it, and what are the impacts of what they did. For example, they say stringent lockdown not only saved as well as it is saving lives, saving till now. But a V-shaped recovery has been possible precisely due to it. There has been a lot of debate that is there a V-shaped recovery? The survey says yes, there is. What is the argument behind it? We will see later on. Now, there have been a lot of questions that why the mortality, fatality rate or say case per million population has been low in India and other developing countries, and so many theories are going around. Some say about BCG vaccination, some say about innate immunity, some say about the in general low hygiene standards that might have ironically worked in India's favor and other developing countries. So, but what survey says, survey gives credit to the stringent lockdown. Now look, no document is purely academic. There is always politics involved. Now, do you want to believe or you don't want to believe? I think that question is irrelevant. Being a student for civil service examinations, you have to study and you have to prepare your answers and answer accordingly in examination. Whether the credibility of the document or the robustness of analysis is not, I have to say, is not relevant to civil service candidates. You just study, prepare, understand, and depending upon the question in examination, use the relevant data. That's all. Avoid political partisanship as far as possible. If something is given, if an assertion is made, understand what is the logic behind it and move on. So the whole chapter focuses on one and one thing only: justifying and explaining the steps during lockdown. A black swan event. Now swan are white and a black swan is very rare. So the point is, it's a black swan event. Why?